The party is at Marcus's house, his 40th birthday. Backyard setup, string lights, catered food, open bar. About 30 people, friends, colleagues, neighbors. The kind of gathering where conversations flow easily and inhibitions drop steadily. I'm standing near the fire pit with a group of 6 or 7 people. My wife Jennifer is there, so are Marcus, his wife Kelly, our friends David and Sarah, and a couple I don't know well, Tom and Rebecca. We're on our 3rd round of drinks. The conversation has drifted through work, kids, politics, and now landed on money. Specifically, who pays for what in relationships. Tom is complaining about his mortgage. I swear Kelly and I need to refinance. The rate is killing us. Kelly laughs. You mean the rate I'm paying is killing me? Tom contributes maybe 30% on a good month. Laughter. Tom doesn't deny it, just shrugs. Hey, I do other things, lawn, cars, man stuff. More laughter. Sarah jumps in. David and I split everything 50-50. Has to be fair, right? David nods. Spreadsheet, monthly reconciliation, works perfectly. Marcus turns to me, half joking, half curious. What about you guys? How do you split it? Before I can answer, Jennifer speaks, loudly, confidently, with the casual cruelty that alcohol sometimes enables. Oh, I handle most of it. He's not really a provider type. The words land like a slap, but she's smiling, laughing, making it seem light, playful, just a joke among friends. The group laughs, not mean-spirited laughter, just the easy laughter that comes when someone makes a quip that seems harmless. Marcus. Not a provider type? What does that mean? Jennifer waves her hand dismissively. You know, I'm the one who actually makes sure bills get paid, keeps things running. He's more supportive in other ways. More laughter. Kelly nods sympathetically at Jennifer. Girl, I feel you. Sometimes we have to be everything. I'm standing there, drink in hand, smile frozen on my face, saying nothing. Because what do you say? Actually, I pay 70% of our household expenses. Actually, I've been the primary earner for our entire marriage. Actually, I cover the mortgage, utilities, insurance, and most of the groceries while she pays for her car and discretionary spending. You can't say those things, not without looking defensive, petty, like you're arguing about money at a party, like you're the problem. So I smile, nod, take another sip of my drink. And I remember exactly who heard it. Marcus, Kelly, David, Sarah, Tom, Rebecca, all of them now operating under the impression that my wife is the provider, that I'm somehow less than, that I'm not a provider type. The conversation moves on. Someone brings up a movie. The moment passes. But something has shifted. Some line has been crossed. Some truth has been revealed that can't be unrevealed. Jennifer thinks I'm not a provider, or at least she's comfortable publicly saying I'm not. Comfortable enough to laugh about it, comfortable enough to let that narrative spread without correction. And she thinks there are no consequences for that I'll just absorb it, smile, move on, continue providing while she takes credit and performs status. She's wrong. Before we get into it, don't forget to like and subscribe, and hit hype to boost this episode. Drop a comment below with your city or country. I'm always curious where viewers are joining from. I need to explain how we got here, how a marriage where I contribute 70% of household income became one where my wife publicly dismisses me as not a provider type. Jennifer and I have been married for 7 years. We met in our late 20s, both working professionals, both ambitious, both financially independent. When we got married, we had the standard conversation about finances, how to split expenses, how to manage money as a couple. I was making $85,000 as a project manager. She was making $62,000 in marketing. We decided on proportional contribution. Each person contributes based on their income percentage. Simple math. My income was 58% of our combined total, so I'd pay 58% of shared expenses. She'd pay 42%. We opened a joint account for household expenses, mortgage, utilities, insurance, groceries. Everything shared went through that account. Each month, I'd transfer my portion. She'd transfer hers. The bills would get paid automatically. It worked smoothly. Over the years, my income grew. Promotions, raises, better opportunities. By year 3 of marriage, I was making $105,000. She was making $65,000. My contribution percentage increased to 62%. By year 5, I was at $125,000. She was at $68,000. I was paying 65%. By year 7, now I'm making $145,000. She's at $70,000. I'm contributing 67% of our shared expenses. Roughly 70% when you account for the fact that I also pay for things outside the joint account. Date nights, vacations, home improvements, emergency repairs. But somewhere along the way, the narrative shifted. Not in reality. Just in how Jennifer talked about it. It started small, little comments at dinner parties. I have to manage everything. He's so lucky I keep us organized. I don't know what he'd do without me handling the finances. At first, I thought she meant the logistics. She does handle most of the bill paying, sets up the automatic payments, monitors the accounts, organizes the spreadsheets. That's real work. I appreciated it. But the comments evolved, became less about logistics and more about contribution, about who the real adult was, who the provider was. I'm basically the CFO of our household. He's great at other things, but I'm the one who makes sure we're actually stable. Thank God one of us is financially responsible. Each comment reframing reality, each one diminishing my actual contribution while elevating her organizational role into being the breadwinner. I noticed, but didn't challenge it, because it seemed petty, because correcting her at parties would make me look insecure, because I figured our actual bank account told the truth, even if her words didn't. But tonight was different. Tonight wasn't just reframing, it was explicit dismissal. He's not a provider type. Not, we both contribute. Not, we split it fairly. Not, he helps. Not a provider type. As if providing was something other people did. As if my 70% contribution was invisible. As if I was a supporting character in the financial narrative of my own marriage. And she said it publicly, confidently, with laughter, while I stood there unable to correct her without looking petty. That's what crossed the line. Not the words themselves. The public performance. The casual rewriting of reality. The comfort with which she diminished me in front of friends. Because if she's comfortable doing it publicly, what does she say privately? What narrative has she constructed in her own head about who provides and who doesn't? We drove home in silence that night. She was tipsy, happy, didn't seem to notice my quietness, didn't remember the comment, or didn't think it mattered. When we got home, she went straight to bed, fell asleep within minutes. I sat in the living room, thinking, processing, deciding. I wasn't angry. Anger is loud, reactive, emotional. I was clear. Clarity is quiet, deliberate, strategic. Jennifer thought I wasn't a provider, or at least she was comfortable letting everyone else think that. Fine. I'd give her exactly what she described. A household where I'm not a provider type. Let's see how long it takes her to notice. I didn't sleep well that night. Lay awake thinking through the decision I was about to make. The implications, the consequences. This wasn't about revenge, not really. It was about truth. About making visible what had become invisible. About refusing to subsidize a narrative that dismissed my contribution. Sunday morning, Jennifer slept late. Hangover. I made coffee, sat at the kitchen table, opened my laptop, started with the math. Always start with math. Numbers don't lie. Our monthly shared expenses: mortgage, $2,800, utilities, electric, gas, water, $320, internet, TV, $180, insurance, home, auto for shared vehicle, $450, groceries, $800, joint credit card, household items, shared expenses, $600, total, $5,150 month in shared expenses. My current contribution, 67%, $3,450 month. Jennifer's contribution, 33%, 1,700 month. Then I calculated what I'd been paying outside the joint account. My car insurance, $120, my car payment, $420, date nights, I usually pay, $300 month, vacations, I cover 70%, $400 month averaged, home improvements, I cover most, $200 month averaged, emergency repairs, $150 month averaged, additional monthly contribution, $1,590, total monthly contribution to our shared life, $5,040, Jennifer's total contribution, $1,850, her share of joint expenses plus her personal car costs. So in reality, I was paying 73% of our total household costs, nearly 3/4, while she paid just over 1/4. But I was not a provider type. I sat there looking at the numbers, feeling something between vindication and sadness. Vindication because the math was undeniable, sadness because my wife apparently had no idea, or didn't care. The decision crystallized. I would contribute exactly 50%, not 73%, not 67%. Exactly 50%. If we're equals, if I'm not a provider type, which implies she is, then we should contribute equally, right? I wouldn't announce it, wouldn't threaten it, wouldn't use it as leverage in an argument. I'd just do it, quietly, systematically, and wait to see how long it took her to notice. I opened my banking app, looked at my automatic transfers to the joint account. Currently, $3,450 transferred on the first of each month. I changed it to $2,575, exactly 50% of $5,150. Effective next month, 23 days from now, saved changes. Then I reviewed the other expenses I was covering outside the joint account. Date nights, vacations, home improvements. Those would stop too. Or rather, they'd be split 50-50 explicitly. If she wanted to go out to dinner, we'd split the check. If she wanted a vacation, we'd each pay half. If something in the house needed fixing, we'd split the cost. No more invisible subsidies, no more automatic coverage, no more playing the role of provider while being publicly dismissed as not a provider type. I closed my laptop, finished my coffee, felt calm, clear, certain. Jennifer emerged from the bedroom around 11 a.m., groggy, wrapped in a robe. "Morning," she mumbled. "Morning. Coffee's fresh." "You're a lifesaver." She poured a cup, sat across from me. "Last night was fun." "Yeah, good party." "Marcus and Kelly know how to host. And that open bar? Dangerous." She laughed. I didn't mention her comment, didn't bring up the not a provider type line. Just smiled, nodded. Let her think everything was fine. Because it was fine. I'd made my decision, set my boundaries. Now I just had to wait. The rest of the month proceeded normally. We went to work, had dinners, watched TV, lived our regular life. Except for one change. When we went out to eat, I started asking for separate checks. First time, Jennifer looked confused. "Why separate? Just put it on your card like usual. Let's split it. Fair is fair." "Okay." She seemed uncertain but didn't push. Paid her half. Second time she tried to joke about it. "What, you keeping track now? Just splitting things evenly. Makes sense, right?" "I guess." By the third time, she stopped questioning it. Just paid her half without comment. I also started asking about costs up front for everything. She wanted to book a weekend trip? "Sounds great. $600 total, so $300 each?" She wanted to buy new living room furniture. "Let's make sure we can both afford it. $200, that's $600 from each of us." She noticed the change. I could tell. But she didn't know why. Didn't connect it to the party comment. Just thought I was being more careful about money. Which I was. Carefully enforcing equality. Carefully treating her like the equal provider she'd claimed to be. The first of the month came. My reduced automatic transfer processed. $2,575 instead of the usual $3,450. $875 less than normal. The joint account received my contribution. Jennifer's contribution. Total, $4,275. Shared monthly expenses, $5,150. Shortfall, $875. I watched the account over the next few days. The automatic payments started processing. Mortgage, utilities, insurance, internet. The balance dropped steadily. By the 15th of the month, the account was at $980. Still some cushion. The grocery spending and joint credit card hadn't fully hit yet. By the 20th, $340. By the 25th, $52. The joint credit card payment bounced. Insufficient funds. I got the notification, did nothing, didn't add money, didn't fix it, just let it sit. Jennifer would see it eventually. And when she did, we'd have a very interesting conversation. I want to be clear about something. I'm not doing this because my ego was hurt. I'm not doing this because I need public validation. I'm not doing this to be cruel. I'm doing this because Jennifer's comment revealed a fundamental truth about how she views our marriage. And that truth needed to be addressed. Here's what crossed the line. It wasn't teasing. It was narrative control. Teasing would be, "Oh, he tries to act like the provider, but I'm secretly running everything." That's playful. That acknowledges my contribution while joking about her role. I could live with that. What she actually said was, "He's not a provider type." Full dismissal, complete erasure. A statement that positioned me as something other than a provider, as if providing was a category I didn't belong to, and she said it confidently, without hesitation, without any concern that I might correct her, because she didn't think there were consequences. That's the problem, not the words themselves, the comfort with which she said them. She's grown so accustomed to performing status, to being seen as the responsible one, the organized one, the one who handles everything, that she's rewritten history, reframed reality to fit a narrative where she's the hero and I'm, what? The support staff? The dependent? The child who needs managing? And I let it happen. For years. By not correcting her small comments. By not insisting on accuracy. By prioritizing peace over truth. But that night at Marcus's party, something clicked. Because I saw how easily the lie spread. How quickly people accepted it. How no one questioned whether it was true. Marcus didn't say, "Wait, doesn't he have a good job?" Kelly didn't say, "Are you sure? I thought he was doing well." David and Sarah didn't exchange skeptical looks. They just accepted it, laughed, moved on. Now operating under the assumption that Jennifer is the provider and I'm not. And in their minds, that changes everything. Changes how they see me, changes how they'll interact with me, changes the respect they give me. That's what Jennifer did. She publicly diminished me, reduced my contribution to invisibility, and felt no hesitation about it. So I made a decision. If I'm not a provider, I won't provide. Simple as that. Not out of spite, out of clarity, out of a refusal to subsidize my own erasure. The financial separation wasn't dramatic. No arguments, no announcements, just quiet, systematic recalibration over 30 days. Day 1, Sunday after the party. Made the decision. Changed the automatic transfer setting, $3,150, $2,575, set to take effect on the 1st of next month. 23 days away. Day 2, Monday. Jennifer acted normal, cheerful even, no memory of the party comment, or no acknowledgement of it. Either way, silence. I matched her energy, friendly, normal, gave no indication anything had changed. Day 3, Tuesday, first test. Jennifer suggested dinner out. Thai food, I'm craving pad CEW. Usually, I'd just say yes and pay. That's the pattern we'd established. Tonight, I said, "Sounds good. Want to split it?" She looked confused. "Split it? Why?" "Just seems fair. We both eat." Okay? Uncertain, thrown off, but she agreed. At the restaurant, when the check came, I said to the server, "Separate checks, please." Jennifer's face, that moment of, wait, what? But she didn't argue, just paid her $32 portion. I paid mine. In the car, she asked, "Are we doing separate checks now? Is this a thing?" "Just trying to be more conscious about expenses." Fair split makes sense. Okay. Still confused, but accepting it. Day 5, Thursday. Coffee run on the way to work. She asked me to grab her a latte. Normally, I'd just buy both. Today, sure, $5.50. Want to Venmo me? For coffee? Yeah, fair is fair. She laughed, thought I was joking, then realized I wasn't. Seriously? Why not? She Venmo'd me, but she was processing, trying to understand the pattern. Day 7, Saturday. Grocery shopping together, cart full, got to checkout. Total, $186. I paid for half the items as they scanned. She paid for the other half. Split the receipt right down the middle. This is tedious, she said, but fair, I guess. She didn't connect it yet, didn't see the pattern, just thought I was being weird about money. Budget conscious, maybe, going through something. Day 9, Monday. She suggested we book tickets to a concert. $200 for 2 tickets. Band she wanted to see. Sounds fun. $100 each? Can't you just get them? I'll cover something else later. I'd rather split it now, clear and fair. Since when are you Mr. Accounting about everything? Since always. I just wasn't explicit about it. She paid her half, but I could see her getting annoyed. The friendly confusion was shifting toward frustration. Day 12, Thursday. Dinner with friends. Group of 6. Bill came to $340. Usually I'd throw in my card and we'd figure it out later. Or I'd cover more than my share. Tonight I calculated exactly, $56.67 per person. Jennifer and I owe $113.34 total. I put in exactly $113.34. Jennifer stared. You calculated it to the cent? Why not? That's our fair share. One of our friends laughed. David's gone full spreadsheet mode. Jennifer forced a laugh. But I could see her embarrassment, her confusion. Something was off, and she couldn't name it. Day 15, Sunday. Mid-month. The joint account was still fine. My contribution from the previous month was covering bills. The new reduced contribution wouldn't hit until the 1st. Jennifer was getting increasingly confused by my behavior. The constant splitting, the precise accounting, the refusal to just cover things like I used to. Are we okay? She asked that evening. Money-wise? We're fine. Why? You've just been really careful lately. About splitting everything, making sure it's exactly fair. It's not like you. Maybe it should have been like me. Maybe I've been too casual about tracking who pays what. Is this about something? Are you mad about something? Not mad. Just being clear. Clear about what? About fair contribution. About each of us paying our share. That's reasonable, right? I guess. It just feels different. Different isn't bad. She let it drop. But she was watching me now, trying to figure out what had changed, trying to understand the shift. Day 18, Wednesday. She suggested a weekend getaway, found an Airbnb in the Catskills. Cute cabin, $500 for 2 nights. That looks great. $250 each? Seriously? You want me to pay half? Why wouldn't you? Because you usually just handle it. You book things and I pay you back later. Do you? Pay me back later? She paused, thinking. Sometimes I do. Sometimes. Usually I just eat the cost. That seems unbalanced. Let's split it up front, clear and fair. Fine. Angry now, definitely angry. $250. Happy? I'm just trying to be equitable. You're being weird. We booked it. Each paid exactly half. The trip was fine, but tension hummed underneath everything. She knew something was wrong. Couldn't identify what. Just knew the dynamics had shifted. Day 21, Saturday. Home improvement project. Bathroom faucet needed replacing. $280 for the new fixture plus installation supplies. Let's split it. $140 each. It's a shared bathroom. David, this is getting ridiculous. It's our house, our expenses. Why are we suddenly splitting everything to the penny? We've always split expenses. I'm just being clear about it now. No, you've always just handled things. And I've handled the organization. That's the system. Was that system fair? It worked. For who? She had no answer. Paid her $140. But the frustration was boiling over now. She knew something was wrong. Knew I was making a point. Still didn't connect it to the party comment. Day 25. Wednesday. 5 days until the reduced contribution would hit the joint account. 5 days until she'd see the real impact. We had dinner at home. Quiet. Tense. She was processing. I could see it. "Are you punishing me for something?" she finally asked. "No." "Then why are you being like this? The constant splitting, the precise accounting, the refusal to just be normal about money." "This is normal. This is equal contribution, fair division of shared expenses." "It doesn't feel fair. It feels cold." "Fair and cold aren't the same thing, unless you've gotten used to unfair being warm." "What does that mean?" "Nothing. Forget it." "No, tell me. What are you trying to say?" "I'm trying to say that maybe our previous arrangement wasn't as fair as you thought. Maybe you've gotten used to me covering more than my share, and now that I'm not, it feels wrong to you. But it's not wrong. It's equal. We don't make equal amounts. You make twice what I make. Equal contribution doesn't make sense. Then maybe you should appreciate proportional contribution more, instead of dismissing it." "Dismissing what? When have I dismissed anything?" I almost told her. Almost brought up the party comment, but I held back. Let her figure it out. Or not. Either way, the month was almost over. She'd understand soon enough. Day 28, Friday. The day she discovered the empty account. The day everything became clear. Day 30, Sunday. The confrontation. The reckoning. The moment she had to actually see what providing meant. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me take you through day 1 of the new month. The day my reduced contribution hit. The day the cushion disappeared. The day Jennifer's world shifted. Month 2, day 1, first of the month. My automatic transfer processed. $2,575 instead of the usual $3,450. Jennifer's contribution, $1,700. Total in joint account, $4,275. Monthly expenses, $5,150. Shortfall, $875. I checked the account that morning, saw the numbers, did nothing, didn't add money, didn't mention it, just let it sit. Jennifer didn't check. She never checked on the first. She'd set up automatic payments years ago and trusted the system. Trusted that there'd always be enough money. Because there always had been. Because I'd always made sure there was enough. Invisibly. Quietly. Being the safety net she didn't know existed. Day 3. Mortgage payment processed. $800. Account balance, $1,475. Day 5. Utility bills, electric, gas, water, $320 total. Account balance, $155. Day 7. Internet and TV, $180. Account balance, $975. Day 10. Insurance payment, $450. Account balance, $525. Still some cushion, but shrinking. Usually there'd be at least $1,500 at this point in the month. The cushion I'd been providing. Gone. Day 15. Mid-month. Grocery spending through the joint credit card, about $400 charged over the past 2 weeks, plus household items, gas, various shared expenses. Account balance, $125. Day 20, credit card payment due, automatic payment set for $600 minimum plus a bit extra to keep balance low. Account balance, $125. Payment processing, $600. Result, insufficient funds. Payment declined. Jennifer's phone buzzed. Alert from the bank. Payment failure. I was at work. Got the same alert. Did nothing. Didn't call her. Didn't add money. Just let it sit. Day 22. Utility company sent a late payment notice. Second electric bill of the month. Dual billing cycle quirk. $140 due. Account balance. $98. Payment processing. $140. Result. Insufficient funds. Payment declined. Second alert to Jennifer's phone. Day 25. Account balance, $50. Groceries charged to joint credit card, $83. The credit card company started sending alerts. Balance approaching limit. Payment overdue. Day 28. Friday evening. Jennifer finally checked the account. Finally looked at the balance. Finally saw what I'd been watching for 4 weeks. She burst into the living room, phone in hand, face pale. that mix of confusion and panic. What the hell happened to the joint account? I looked up from my book. Calm, composed. This moment had been coming for 28 days. I was ready. What do you mean? The balance, it's at $11. $11. The credit card payment bounced. The utility bill is overdue. We have late fees. What happened? Nothing happened. Bills got paid. This month's contributions went in like always. That's impossible. There's always more than this. We usually have at least $1,000 cushion by end of month. Sometimes $1,500. Where did it go? There is no cushion. The contributions covered most of the bills, but not quite all of them. There's a shortfall. A shortfall? How? She was scrolling frantically through transactions on her phone, reviewing, calculating. Your transfer was $2,575. It's usually more than that. Way more. Is it? Yes, it's usually, I don't know exactly, but definitely more than $2,500. What happened? I adjusted my contribution to exactly 50% of our shared monthly expenses. $550 divided by 2 equals $2,575. The words hung in the air. She stared at me, processing, beginning to understand but not quite there yet. 50%? Since when do we split things 50-50? We've always done proportional contribution, based on income. That's the agreement. That's what we decided years ago. That was the agreement when it was respected, when my contribution was acknowledged, when I was recognized as a provider. But things change. What are you talking about? When was your contribution not acknowledged? Marcus's party. 4 weeks ago. Do you remember that night? She looked confused. What? What does Marcus's party have to do with the joint account? Do you remember what you said when someone asked how we split expenses? Her face went blank, searching memory, coming up empty. I don't remember. What did I say? You said, and I'm quoting directly, I handle most of it. He's not really a provider type. Color drained from her face, memory flooding back. Oh, that. Yes, that. That was just, I was drunk. It was a joke. I didn't mean anything by it. You announced to a room full of our friends that I'm not a provider. They all laughed. They all accepted it as truth. Nobody questioned it, including you. You let them believe I don't contribute financially to our household. I was talking about bill management, about how I'm the one who organizes everything, pays bills, manages accounts. No, you said I'm not a provider type. Not a manager type. You specifically dismissed my financial contribution, and everyone believed you, because you said it confidently, casually, like it was obvious truth. It was a stupid comment at a party. It was a public statement that revealed how you actually view our marriage. You genuinely believe you're the provider because you click pay bill buttons, and you think I'm not a provider despite covering 70% of our household costs. That's not a drunk slip. That's what you actually think. She sat down heavily on the couch, phone still in hand, still showing the $11 account balance. I didn't mean it like that. What did you mean? I meant, I handle the financial administration, the organization, the management, and I provide 70% of the actual money, but that doesn't make me a provider? That's not what I was saying. That's exactly what you said, so I decided to give you what you described, a household where I'm not a provider type, where I contribute equally instead of proportionally, where you get to be the actual provider, since that's apparently your role. This is insane. You're sabotaging our finances over one offhand comment? I'm enforcing equal contribution, 50-50. If we're equal partners, if neither of us is more of a provider than the other, then equal contribution makes sense, right? But we're not equal income. You make $145,000. I make $70,000. Equal contribution doesn't work. Then the previous arrangement was fairer. But that arrangement required recognition, respect, acknowledgement that I was contributing more, that I was, in fact, a provider. You publicly dismiss that. So the arrangement changed. You should have told me. You should have said something instead of just letting bills bounce. I did tell you. Through math. I reduced my contribution to exactly 50%. You didn't notice for 28 days. 28 days of bills processing, of the account balance dropping, of the cushion disappearing. You never checked, never monitored, never noticed. Because you assumed it would just work. That money would just be there. Because it always had been. Because I'd always made sure of it. So this is what? Revenge? Punishment? This is clarity. This is showing you what providing actually means. Not organizing, not clicking buttons, actually earning and contributing the money that keeps everything running. And now? What now? The account is empty. Bills are bounced. We have late fees. What's your plan? My plan is to keep contributing exactly 50%, $2,575 per month. If that's not enough to cover our expenses, you'll need to make up the difference, because you're a provider, right? That's what you told everyone. That's not what I meant, but it's what you said, and now you get to prove it. Handle it. Figure it out. That's what providers do. She stared at me, tears forming, anger and fear mixing. You're willing to let our credit get ruined, our bills default, just to make a point? I paid my 50%. The rest is up to you. You said you handle everything. Handle this. She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. No words came. Because she finally understood. Finally saw what I'd been seeing for years. The gap between her narrative and reality. Between who she said provided and who actually did. She went to the bedroom, slammed the door. I heard her crying, then heard her on the phone, probably calling her mother or a friend, seeking sympathy, seeking validation. I went back to my book, calm, clear, certain. The bills would get paid eventually. Either she'd add money, or we'd have a bigger conversation about downsizing, or we'd separate finances entirely. But we'd do it with honesty, with accurate understanding of who provided what, with recognition of actual contribution instead of organizational performance. That was the point. Not revenge. Truth. And truth, once revealed, can't be hidden again. Is it? Yes. It's usually like $3,500 or something. Why did you only put in $2,500? $2,575. That's exactly 50% of our shared monthly expenses. $5,150 divided by 2. The words hung in the air. She was processing, calculating, beginning to understand. 50%? Since when do we split things 50-50? We've always done proportional contribution, based on income. We did, but I thought about it. Decided equal contribution makes more sense. Fair is fair, right? But you make more than me. Way more. That's why you contribute more. That's the agreement. That was the agreement. But then at Marcus's party, you told everyone I'm not a provider type. Remember that? She blinked, confused, trying to recall. What? When? Marcus's party. 4 weeks ago. We were standing by the fire pit. Someone asked how we split expenses. You said, and I quote, I handle most of it. He's not really a provider type. Her face changed, memory flooding back. Oh, that was just... I was joking. It was a party. People were drinking. You were joking about me not being a provider. It wasn't serious. It sounded serious. Everyone laughed. Everyone accepted it as truth. Nobody questioned it, including you. You let them believe I don't provide. I didn't mean it that way. I just meant I'm the one who organizes the bills, manages the accounts, does the administrative work. So you're a provider because you click pay bill buttons online. And I'm not a provider despite contributing 70% of our household income. That's the logic? 70%? What are you talking about? I've been tracking. Before this month, I was contributing $3,150 to the joint account. You were contributing $1,100? That's 67% versus 33%. Plus, I was covering about $1,600 more per month outside the joint account. Date nights, vacations, home repairs, all the things I just took care of without asking for reimbursement. Total, I was paying 73% of our household costs. You were paying 27%. She stood there, silent, numbers sinking in. But you said I'm not a provider type, so I figured I must be wrong about my contribution. Must be doing it wrong, so I fixed it. Now I contribute exactly 50%. Equal partners, equal contribution. Isn't that fair? David, that's not... You can't just what? Contribute equally? Why not? We're both adults, both have jobs, both benefit from the household. Why shouldn't we pay the same amount? Because you make twice what I make. Because proportional contribution is fair when there's an income disparity. So I should contribute more because I earn more. But that doesn't make me a provider. Is that the logic? You're twisting my words. I'm taking them seriously. You said I'm not a provider, so I stopped providing beyond my equal share. That's all. She sat down heavily on the couch, staring at her phone, at the near zero balance. This is insane. You're punishing me for one offhand comment at a party? I'm not punishing you. I'm enforcing equality. You wanted to perform as the responsible financial manager. Fine. Manage this. Figure out how to cover the shortfall with equal contributions. We can't afford equal contributions. I make $70,000. After taxes and retirement, I take home like $4,200 a month. If I'm paying $2,575 to joint expenses, that leaves me $1,725 for my car, my student loans, my personal expenses. That's not sustainable. Then we need to reduce our shared expenses, or you need to earn more, or we need to renegotiate the arrangement. Those are the options with equal contribution. Or you could just contribute proportionally like before, like we agreed. We agreed when you respected that agreement, when you acknowledged my contribution, when you didn't publicly dismiss me as not a provider type. That agreement is broken. Now we have a new one, equal contribution, take it or leave it. She was crying now. Angry tears, frustrated tears. This is cruel. This is math. If you find math cruel, maybe that tells you something about the previous arrangement. What do you want from me? An apology? Fine. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I made that stupid joke. Can we move on now? It wasn't a joke. It was a public performance that revealed how you actually view our marriage. And yes, I want more than an apology. I want recognition. I want you to actually understand what I contribute instead of performing as the sole responsible adult while I'm invisibly subsidizing everything. I do recognize it. No, you don't. You claim to handle everything while I cover 73% of costs. You position yourself as the financial hero while dismissing my contribution. You've built an entire narrative where you're the responsible one and I'm... What? The child? The support staff? The not a provider type? She had no response, just sat there crying, processing, finally seeing what I'd been seeing for years. The joint account is at $11, I said calmly. The credit card payment bounced. The utility bill is overdue. You're the one who handles everything. Handle this. Figure out how to cover the shortfall. That's what providers do. I went back to my book. She sat on the couch for another 10 minutes, then got up, went to the bedroom, slammed the door. I'd given her exactly what she described, a household where I'm not a provider type. Now she'd learn what that actually means. Jennifer didn't speak to me the rest of that night, or the next morning. Cold silence. The kind that fills a house with pressure, with unspoken accusations, with the weight of things unsaid. I made coffee Saturday morning, poured a cup for her, left it on the counter. She ignored it, let it go cold. Symbolic rejection. Around noon, I was in the living room reading when I heard her bedroom door open, footsteps in the hall. She appeared in the doorway, dressed, showered, composed but with red eyes. She'd been crying, processing, coming to terms with something. We need to talk. Okay. She sat on the chair across from me, not the couch next to me. Distance, formality. This was a negotiation, not a conversation. "I've been thinking," she said, voice careful, controlled, "about what you said last night, about the money, about my comment at the party, about everything." I set my book down, waited, let her control the pace. "You're right that I didn't fully appreciate what you contribute financially. I got caught up in the organizational role, paying bills, managing accounts, budgeting, and started thinking of that as providing. But providing is also earning, contributing actual money. You do most of that. The lion's share. I didn't acknowledge it properly, didn't give you credit for it. Okay. I'm sorry for that. I'm sorry I made that comment at Marcus's party. I'm sorry I let people think you don't contribute. That was wrong." She paused, waiting for me to accept the apology, to say it's okay and move on, to go back to normal. I didn't. "But," she continued, voice taking on an edge, "what you're doing now, cutting your contribution, letting bills bounce, making me panic about money, that's vindictive. That's not solving anything. That's just hurting both of us." I disagree. I'm not being vindictive. I'm being equal. You wanted to be seen as the provider. You claimed that role publicly. I'm letting you actually fill that role, equally, fairly. That's not realistic given our income disparity. Then maybe the previous arrangement was fairer. But that arrangement was built on mutual respect, on recognition of contribution, on honest acknowledgement of who does what. You violated that. You publicly dismissed my contribution. So the arrangement changed. I apologized. You apologized because you got caught, because the consequences forced you to, not because you actually understood what you did wrong. You still genuinely believe you handle everything, that you're the responsible adult, managing a household while I just, what? Tag along? Exist? Contribute nothing worth mentioning? That's not what I think. It's what you said, out loud, to a room full of people, and you said it confidently, comfortably, without hesitation. That doesn't come from nowhere. That comes from a deeply held belief about our roles. She was quiet for a long moment, processing, wrestling with something, some truth she didn't want to face. "What do you want from me?" she finally asked, voice smaller now, less defensive. Specifically, what would make you go back to contributing like before? Recognition, real recognition, not just sorry I said that thing at that party, but actual, deep understanding of what I contribute, actual acknowledgement, public and private, of who does what in our household, actual correction when people assume you're the provider and I'm not. Fine, I can do that. Can you? Because that means next time we're at a party and someone asks about finances, you don't get to perform as the hero. You have to tell the truth. David pays most of our bills. I organize them. He's the primary provider. I'm the administrator. Can you actually say that? She flinched. The truth laid out so plainly, so undeniable. Yes, I can say that. And I want you to manage the actual provision for 1 month. Not just the administrative work, the actual earning and contributing. I want you to understand what it's like to be the one covering 70% while someone else takes credit for handling everything. How am I supposed to do that? I can't suddenly earn twice my salary. Then you'll need to cover more from your current income, dip into savings, pick up extra work, get a second job, figure it out. That's what providers do. They figure it out. They don't have the luxury of just organizing someone else's contributions. That's impossible. I can't afford to pay 70% of our expenses on my income. Exactly, which is why I've been doing it for 7 years while you publicly dismissed it as me being not a provider type. Do you understand now? Do you understand what you were dismissing? She stared at me, really seeing me, maybe for the first time in years. seeing not the organizational assistant to her financial management, but the person actually carrying the weight. You're serious. You're actually going to make me do this. I'm giving you the opportunity to understand what providing means, to feel it, to live it, not just theorize about it or perform it socially, actually do it. And what if I can't? Then we'll have a conversation about what's realistic, about what true equal contribution looks like, about whether we need to downsize our lifestyle to match what two equal contributions can cover, about separating finances entirely, whatever needs to happen. But we'll have that conversation after you understand what providing actually costs, not before. This is crazy. This is vindictive and crazy, and this is math. This is reality. This is what happens when you publicly dismiss someone's contribution. They stop contributing, and you discover how much you depended on what you couldn't see. She got up, paced to the window, looked out, trying to compose herself, trying to find an argument that would work. You're willing to let our bills default, let our credit score tank, let late fees pile up, just to make a point? I paid my 50%, exactly half, fair contribution, equal partnership. If that's not enough to cover the lifestyle you've grown accustomed to, you need to cover the difference. Or we need to adjust our lifestyle. Those are the options. Or you could stop being petty and just contribute like before. Like before when you respected my contribution? Or like before when you publicly dismissed me as not a provider type? Which before are we talking about? She had no answer to that. The logic was airtight. Cruel, maybe. But mathematically, ethically, practically, airtight. She went back to the bedroom, slammed the door. I heard muffled talking, phone call, probably her mother, or a friend, explaining the situation, seeking sympathy, seeking validation that I was being unreasonable. I didn't move, just sat there with my book, calm, certain, waiting. Sunday morning, she emerged with her laptop, face set with determination. She'd made a decision. Okay, I reviewed all the accounts last night. Here's where we are. She showed me a detailed breakdown. Every bill, every due date, every overdue payment, the credit card bounce, the utility late fee, the total mess that had accumulated. We need $1,075 to catch everything up and get back to current. I can pull $400 from my emergency fund. That still leaves $675 short. Can you add that, please? Just this once. Then we can figure out a better system going forward. No. David, I paid my 50%, $2,575. My contribution is complete. If more is needed, that's your responsibility. You're the provider, remember? Stop throwing that in my face. I'm not throwing anything. I'm holding you to the role you claimed. You said you handle everything. You said I'm not a provider. Fine. Handle this. Provide the shortfall. That's what providers do. I can't afford $1,075. That's almost 2 weeks of take-home pay for me. And I've been covering that shortfall and more every month for 7 years. While you took credit for managing our finances, now you know what it actually costs to provide that cushion. She closed her laptop, sat there, defeated, processing. What do you want me to do? Pull the full amount from your emergency fund, or pull $400 and let some bills stay overdue while you figure out how to cover the rest? Work overtime? Sell something? Take a second job? Whatever you need to do, that's your decision, but I'm not covering it. Why are you being so cruel about this? I'm not being cruel. I'm being consistent. For 7 years, I've been the safety net, the one who makes sure there's always enough money, the cushion you never saw, the backup plan you never acknowledged. You thought bills just got paid, magically, automatically, while you clicked buttons and called it handling everything. Now you get to actually handle it, actually feel what it's like to be the provider, to be the one who has to figure it out when there's not enough. She was crying now. Quiet tears, the kind that come from realizing you were wrong, deeply, fundamentally wrong. I didn't know. I didn't understand. I thought I thought I was contributing equally because I did the organizational work. Organizational work matters. It's real labor. But it's not the same as financial contribution. You do one, I do most of the other. Both are important, but they're not equal in scope or in burden. I see that now. Do you? Or do you just see it because you're feeling the consequences? There's a difference between understanding and just being pressured into agreement. I understand, really. I'm sorry. Then pull the money from your emergency fund. Cover the shortfall. Show me you're willing to actually provide when it's required, not just when it's convenient. She opened her laptop again, logged into her bank account. I watched her navigate to savings, saw her emergency fund balance, $8,240. She'd built that up over years. Years of me covering 70% of our shared expenses while she saved. Years of her taking advantage of my contributions without acknowledging them. She transferred $1,075 to the joint account. Watched her emergency fund drop to $7,165. There, done. Good. Now will you go back to normal? Will you contribute like before? No. What? Why not? I did what you asked. You covered 1 month shortfall. That doesn't change the underlying dynamic. That doesn't prove you understand what providing means. That doesn't show me you value my contribution. Then what does? What do I have to do? Live with equal contribution for 1 more month. Feel what it's like to constantly worry about money, to dip into savings, to cut back on personal expenses, to actually carry the weight. Then we'll talk about going back to proportional contribution. If you still want that. If you're willing to acknowledge what it actually means. You're going to make me do this for another month? Yes. That's... She searched for words, found none that would change anything. That's fair, I said. That's what equals do. They contribute equally. You wanted to be seen as equal provider. This is what that means. Feel it. Understand it. Then we'll renegotiate. She didn't argue, just closed her laptop, went back to the bedroom, left me sitting in the living room with my book and my boundary and my clarity. The bills got paid. The account stabilized, temporarily. But next month, the same problem would emerge, and the month after. Until she truly understood, until she felt what I'd been feeling, until she recognized what she'd been dismissing. That was the point. Not punishment. Education. 3 weeks later, nearly 2 months after the party, Jennifer asked to have a serious conversation. We sat in the living room again. This time, she had notes. She'd been thinking, planning, processing. I've been tracking our expenses against my income, she said, trying to figure out how to make equal contribution work. And I can't. Not sustainably, not without taking a second job or cutting major expenses. Okay. So I looked back at the past 7 years, at what you've been contributing, and I realized... She paused. Emotional. I realized I've been taking you completely for granted. I didn't respond. Let her continue. You've been covering 70% of everything, for years, while I paid for my car and my discretionary spending and saved money. I built up an emergency fund, took vacations, bought nice clothes, all because you were covering most of our shared life. And I never acknowledged it. Not really. No, you didn't. Worse than that, I performed as if I was the responsible one, the one handling everything. I took credit for organizing bills while you were actually paying them. That's... She struggled with the word. That's dishonest. I was dishonest. To you, to our friends, to myself. Yes. And when you stopped covering the extra, when you held me to equal contribution, I panicked. Because suddenly I had to actually provide instead of just manage. And I couldn't do it. Not at the level we'd been living. That's the reality. So what do? We have 3 options, I said. 1. I go back to proportional contribution, but only if there's genuine recognition and respect for what that means. Not performative apologies. Real change in how you talk about our finances. Real acknowledgement of who provides what. She nodded. I can do that. 2. We maintain equal contribution, but that means significantly reducing our expenses, smaller house, cheaper lifestyle, living within what 2 equal contributions can cover. You've been trying that for 2 months. Is it sustainable? No, she admitted. Not without major sacrifices I'm not ready to make. 3. We separate finances entirely. You pay your bills, I pay mine. We split shared expenses 50-50. Everything else is individual. No joint account. No shared financial life beyond logistics. She looked horrified. That's like roommates, not a marriage. It's an option. If you can't handle equal contribution and you can't respect proportional contribution, then separation might be the only honest arrangement. I don't want that. Then we're back to option 1, proportional contribution with actual recognition. What does that recognition look like? Specifically, I'd been thinking about this. It means when someone asks about our finances, you're accurate. You say, we both contribute based on income, or David covers most of our expenses, or something truthful. Not performative lies about you handling everything. Okay. It means you actually acknowledge the difference between earning and organizing. Managing bills is real work, but it's not the same as providing the money for those bills. You do one, I do more of the other. Both matter, but they're not equal. I understand. And it means if you ever publicly dismiss my contribution again, if you ever call me not a provider type or anything similar, I immediately switch to equal contribution. No warning, no argument, just math. You get to be the provider you claim to be. She absorbed that. That's harsh. That's the boundary. You crossed it once. I'm making sure you understand the consequence of crossing it again. Okay, I agree to all of that. Good. Then starting next month, I'll return to proportional contribution, 67% of shared expenses. Plus I'll cover date nights and vacations like before, but you'll acknowledge it, publicly and privately. Deal? Deal. We shook hands, formal, like a contract, which it was. She transferred money back into the joint account, covered her portion plus a bit extra to rebuild the cushion. I did the same. The bills got paid, the system stabilized, the household returned to functioning, but the dynamic had permanently changed. Jennifer understood now what she hadn't understood before. Providing isn't about announcing it. It's about who notices when it's gone. I'd been the provider all along, quietly, invisibly, reliably, and she'd never noticed because it had always just worked. Until it didn't. Until I stopped. Until the bills bounced and the account emptied and she had to actually provide instead of just perform. That's the lesson she learned. That's the truth she couldn't escape. And now, whenever someone asks about our finances, she answers accurately. Honestly, with recognition of who actually provides. David covers most of our expenses because he earns more. I handle the organization and bill payment. We both contribute, but he's definitely the provider in our household. It's not about ego. It's not about credit. It's about honesty, about aligning reality with narrative, about refusing to be erased. I'm a provider. I've always been a provider. The math proves it. And now, finally, my wife acknowledges it too. 6 months after Marcus's party, we attended another gathering. Different host, similar crowd, same casual social atmosphere. Halfway through the evening, someone asked Jennifer about work, about how she manages everything. She smiled, glanced at me, then answered, "Honestly, I keep things organized, but David's the one who actually makes our life possible financially. I handle the admin. He handles the provision. We're a team, but he's definitely the one carrying the heavier load." The person looked at me with new respect. "Oh, wow, I didn't realize." "Most people don't," I said simply. Later, driving home, Jennifer said, "Was that okay, what I said?" That was accurate, which is all I've ever wanted. It's weird. I actually feel better being honest about it. Like I was carrying this performance that didn't fit reality. Now, I don't have to pretend. You never had to pretend. I know, but I did anyway. because I thought being seen as the provider made me more valuable, more important, more, I don't know, worthy? You're worthy because of who you are, not because of some false narrative about finances. I'm sorry it took me so long to see that. Sorry you had to force the issue by stopping your contributions. I'm sorry I had to force it too, but I'm glad it worked. Did you ever doubt it would? The month when the account was empty and I was panicking? Were you worried I'd actually ruin our credit? No, I knew you'd figure it out. Or we'd have a bigger conversation about downsizing. Either way, the truth would emerge. What if I'd just gotten angry, left, refused to engage? Then I'd have learned something important about our marriage, about whether we could survive honesty. She was quiet for a moment. Then, you know what I realized? When you said he's not a provider type, you didn't get defensive, didn't correct me publicly, didn't argue. You just absorbed it, and then took action privately. That's almost scarier than if you'd gotten angry. Anger is loud and temporary. Clarity is quiet and permanent. You're a little scary when you're clear. Only if you're on the wrong side of the truth. She laughed, but it was nervous laughter. The laughter of someone who'd learned an important lesson the hard way. We got home, went to bed. Our marriage continued. Different now, more honest, more balanced, built on truth instead of performance.